Can I start?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So in my country, men go to prison and then they become president. Nelson Mandela. My name is Samuel Moncayo. And the purpose of my speech is to inform you of the life and struggles of one man who changed one nation completely. I'm here to tell you about Nelson Mandela's early life, and then I'll tell you about his advocacy and imprisonment. Then I'll go into his presidency. So his story began in July 1918, and in a small village of Mezo, and he was born under the name of Rohai Halahala. And he was the son of the chief, and because of this, he was able to gain privileges. So he was the first one in his tribe to go to school. He was also the first one in his tribe to be baptized by the Methodist Church. And when he did this, the government made him change his name, his real name, to Nelson, because of the because of the racist laws set by legislature. During this time of school, he gained a great deal of education in law, science, history, and he later on, then about 21 after his schooling was done, he went to a college that was equivalent to Harvard in South Africa. And while he was there, this was when he began his advocacy. His second year was when he started his advocacy. He joined the student council and he began to boycott the regulations from the school because he believed that the black population there did not get food, they did not have rights, so he wanted to change that. And because of this boycott that he started, he was then expelled from the school for disobedience. And he was then kicked out, and he was never able to return to that school. But because of this led him to go to Jahala, which is an inner city in the northwest of South Africa. And he then, when he was there, he saw the real crimes and suffering of the black community. And from there, he began his advocacy, and he joined the ANC, which is the Africa National Congress, which spoke up for black rights. So they basically made protests, peaceful demonstration, marches, they did strikes, and they did all this to give aware to the inequality that they all felt. And so during this, he became a leader of that group, and because of this, the government then started to notice him. And because he was gaining power, the government decided that they were going to stop him. So they decided to regulate his ability to move, so they kept him in that city. And then after he tried to lead a peaceful march outside that city, he was then arrested and 150 other followers. And when he was arrested, he had to wait for 4 years until his trial. And so during that time, the South African government decided that they would get rid of the NAC completely. And because of this, the black community decided to have another peaceful rally, which would later be called the Shark Downfall, which would then lead to about 67 men, women, and children, and 180 other civilians being killed and injured. And after that happened, Nelson Mandela decided that he would start, instead of peaceful protest, he would have to take arms against the government. And so he made an underground group called Sizweli, and from this underground group, he rose with armed forces to try to get his awareness and the equality that he thought that the black community so rightfully deserved. But because of this, he led a 3-day armed working strike throughout the entire country, and after the strike was done, he was sentenced to life imprisonment for treason and conspiracy to overthrow the government. So while in prison, the government decided that they hopefully could stop his reign, to stop his advocacy against what was wrong. And so while they were there, they kept him as far away as they could from the public, but this didn't stop him. In fact, this made him stronger. Because of his imprisonment, he was able to gain support throughout national globe, and they started raising money and trying to petition globally to get him out of prison. And even while he was in prison, he still got a bachelor's degree in law. He still was able and capable of leading protests and still coordinating different marches throughout the entire nation. And afterwards, due to the persistence of the global demands of his release, the government of South Africa took 7 years and about 2 presidents to finally release him out of his life sentence. So in 1990, he was in jail for about 47 years. He was released into the public. And so after he got out, they reestablished ANC, so the African National Congress Committee, and he once again brought more boycotts to give blacks the right to vote. And so after he did this, he received a Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 for achieving equality or more equality for blacks within South America. So they were able to vote, and then afterwards they had their first multi-election. So with their first multi-racial election, he was elected president 1 year after that. And so he became president of the entire nation of South Africa. And from this, he pretty much started changing all the rules. He made a bunch of laws. He got rid of segregation. He allowed them to vote. He gave public schooling to all children, because before it was mainly just white dominant and no blacks didn't really attend school because they needed money. He gave jobs, he gave health care, and he pretty much rechanged everything. And with this, he used rugby to do it, really to help bound the white and black community together. So from this presentation, I hope that you have a better understanding of what Nelson Mandela did and struggled through to achieve equality within South Africa. And now that you know a little bit more about his life, his advocacy, and his imprisonment, I hope that you understand where he came from. So I'll leave you with one quote. I never cared very much for personal prizes. A person does not become a freedom fighter in hope of winning awards.